see, they took it as like he was the 0, and we moved the calendar forward from his birth, right? It's like before Christ, after Christ.
Right.
Same thing kind of with Buddha. Buddha, they think they know what day it is, but they know he was born 2,500 years ago. So it's also kind of a 0. So if you kind of look at it, it kind of goes to a 0 again. So if you look at Buddha, the idea that he brought in, whose time had come, was self-actualization, which was a big deal back then, that there were a lot of religious figures that were taking money from people, and Buddha basically said, you can do this yourself. And it caused a big problem. I mean, people were very upset, especially the religious organizations. Same thing with Jesus. Jesus came in and he brought the concept of unconditional love. Actually, those words were never combined in a language until he showed up. So he brought in this concept of unconditional love, which is really beautiful. So, we want to kind of just look at that 0, 0 as an interesting kind of pattern to see what things those kids might come in with. But what's tricky about dealing with people like this is that they aren't like the rest of us. They're kind of naive, and they're open and innocent and wide-eyed, because they're kind of like, woohoo, I'm here. And they aren't jaded from lots of lifetimes of suffering, but they also don't understand why people are doing the crazy things that they're doing. So they don't oftentimes relate to our society the same way. They're like, Mom, why is that kid so mad at me? I didn't do anything to that kid. Like, they actually don't get it, because they're so open, they're so open and innocent. Now, then when you go to a 1, 1's always easy, because whenever we look at the number 1, we always think of 1 is the loneliest number 1, right? So 1 is the individual, the self. In the yogic system, we talk about the 1 as being humility. And so when I look at the number 1, I look at who is the most humble person. And so the archetype I use for the number 1, when you see the number 1 showing up, you want to think of the Dalai Lama. So, because here's this absolutely, totally beautiful, humble person, but his power comes from his compassion, right? So it's his heart, his humility, that is what is so profound. So whenever you see the number 1, the Dalai Lama is the highest form of the 1. Now, obviously, with numbers, you've got good and bad. So the lowest form of the 1 would be like selfish. It's mine. And so selfish, self-centered, rigid, not giving. So that would be the opposite end of the 1. But we want to support people in going towards the highest value of the 1. So whenever I'm doing a reading, I always try and see. It's always really interesting with the number 1, because there's a 1 and then there's a 1 and a 0, which is a 10. So when you see people, they might have a 10 in their karma. So let's say their karma, they might have been a Libra, they were born in the 10th month, okay, so their karma is a 10. And their karma is to be Alexander the Great, to be powerful. It's like 10 is like the perfect 10. You think of power and influence and nobility and the king and in charge, and I'm on top and I'm king of the hill. But if you see a person who has a karma of 10, but they're all collapsed and weak, you can tell that they're not doing the 10. They've collapsed the 10 into a 1. Okay, so what they've done is they've taken the 1 and the 0, and they've taken the 0 off, and they've collapsed into the 1. So as a reader, what I'm trying to do is say, okay, humility is great, humbleness is great, collapsed isn't good. You can be powerful and humble like the Dalai Lama again, because nobody would underestimate the fact that the Dalai Lama is an incredibly powerful person again, but he's gentle about it, right? Because big power sometimes doesn't have to be pushy, it can be really humble. So as a result, you want to look at people and kind of look at their numbers and kind of go, are they doing the 1 or are they doing the 10? Now, the same thing is true of the number 2, because in the yogic system, we actually go to 11, whereas in the American system, we go to 10. In the yogic system, we go to 11. But the 11, again, if you add 1 and 1, you get a 2. So you've got the same challenge again, that you could have a person who's born in November, and that means they would have a karma of 11, but they could collapse the 11 into a 2. So that you you always look at the 10-1 and the 11-2 from two sides, like which way are they doing this exactly? So the 2, a pure 2, is called critical mind or negative mind. And the reason is that we kind of go from wholeness, which is the 0, to 1, which is the individual, to a 2, which is duality. So what happens is, I like to think of it as, we are whole, and then we go, we are whole, and here I am. Oh, I'm here. This is me. This is me. I have an identity. I'm defining myself. But then the moment you start to define yourself, it's like taking two sides of a rubber band and pulling it one way and pulling it another way. So again, kind of like left brain, right brain, masculine, feminine. Like suddenly you split into duality, and you're suddenly looking at things from two different sides: good, bad, right, wrong. And so we're in this world of duality, and so we're kind of caught in this two-dimensional world trying to expand into a three- and four-dimensional world. And you see a lot of the metaphysicians trying to talk about that and say, let's get out of this like duality, which is I'm right, you're wrong, and if you don't do it my way, then I'm going to kill you. It's crazy. It's completely crazy. So, but the two is knowledge, because as soon as you start to define something, what you're saying is almost obsolete. It's sort of interesting, because the moment you start to define something, you're creating more duality and polarity and not oneness and wholeness. So then you've got light and you've got shadow. So the big joke is that we all want light, and we have defined things as what we think are good, and we all want to do those things. We all want to be in the place where we're good. But then we've also got these places where we have decided are bad or shadow, but they may not be bad. So I always give myself as the example. When I was a kid, it's like, okay, I'm going to be a good girl, so bad girl goes into shadow. Well, in bad girl goes into shadow, I actually put powerful girl, outspoken girl, girl with her own business, psychic girl, all the things that I was afraid were bad, right? And those things are not necessarily bad. So part of the challenge of the two in the duality is to explore and challenge your own duality, to look at where you have judgment or perceptions about things, and you need to redefine that in some way. So what happens, as you know, in life is that we suddenly kind of go, okay, you're a kid and you're being raised, and you know, I was raised Catholic, and so sex was bad, all this kind of stuff, right? So the reality is sex isn't bad, but you spend a lot of time going, bad, 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 wrong, wrong, wrong. And it's good, because emotionally you're not mature enough to handle the complex energetic exchange of sex, because sex is life force energy, and life force energy is very chaotic, and if you're not mature enough to be able to handle it, it's not good. I mean, it's actually not good. So, you know, I understand why you have to say, no, 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 not yet, I'm not ready, I'm not ready, I'm not ready. But then when you suddenly are ready and you have sex, you're like, wow, this isn't bad. Yeah, you know, this isn't bad at all. What was I thinking? Okay. So it's that whole place of changing your format. And when you release a judgment, when you confront your own shadow and say, oh, I'm going to be really bad and I'm going to have sex, oh my gosh. When you confront your judgment and you free up the energy, something inside you profoundly changes, because it takes so much energy to suppress truth. And the truth is that you have a sexual part of your brain, a primal reptilian part of your brain, and you have a higher functioning brain, and you have to learn how to manage both of those states. You know, and that's part of the challenge of the two. But what happens a lot of times when we're learning two vibration is we become critical. We become critical and judgmental. So it's like, I'm right, you're wrong. And we do that so that we can feel safe, so that we can have a place to stand. Like, I'm standing here on this particular place, and I'm okay because I'm following the rules, and I've decided that those rules are the good rules. But sometimes those rules are good because they teach you a baseline, but ultimately you have to step onto your own path and step into your own truth. So the two is called critical mind or negative mind, because it's important to have critical mind, which is discernment, but it's not as good to have negative mind, which is to pull things into a negative place. Okay? So you want to be aware if you're doing one or the other when you have a 2 in your number. So when somebody has a 2 vibration, I associate it with Einstein. So you think of who are the big brain people, right? And so I kind of use him as my archetype, because talk about discerning mind. I mean, so I love how they ask him, how did you discover the theory of relativity? And I love how his brain worked. He said, I pretended to be a beam of light. Okay, so notice, that's really interesting. You know, you don't expect him to be saying that. So he says, I pretended to be a beam of light, and I pretended that I was moving at light speed, and I had a mirror in front of me, and I wondered if I could see myself in the mirror if I was moving at light speed. Okay, and then he said, well, then I reversed it, and I decided to be the mirror looking at myself moving through the speed of light. And then I sat myself on an asteroid and watched myself go by. And so what he did was he took a lot of different positions in order to have a clarity, and then he went to sleep and woke up and he had E equals MC squared, right? So, but it's important to kind of know that the mind and the critical mind is incredibly dualistic. So you want to, if you have a karma, like if you're born in February, so you are a Aquarius or a Pisces, you know, because Pisces is at the very end of the month of February, you want to kind of say, okay, am I being critical, or am I being discerning, or am I being negative, right? You know, you want to kind of, you know, and it's kind of a gift and a curse, because you need your mind and you want discernment. I mean, it's really, I mean, people who have great discernment can make a lot of money because they can point out what's not working. Kind of, I call it the bullshit detector. So the two is like the bullshit detector. So they kind of sit there and they go, well, you said that and you're doing that, that makes no sense, right? And that's a bullshit detector, and people can make a lot of money, especially in fields like law, if they're the bullshit detector, that they can go, I object, Your Honor, this person is leading the witness, this is irrelevant to the case. Well, if that's true, you win the case and you can make a lot of money. So having that incredibly meticulous mind, that discerning mind, that ability to see inconsistencies is an incredibly valuable thing to have on the planet. So it has good qualities and it has bad qualities again, but you know, you want to look at which way you're using it. Now, one of the things that I go next to is the 3. So the 3, 3s in general in almost all systems are really positive. So 3s are like a perfect triangle, an equilateral triangle, and you can think of Father, Son, Holy Ghost, Mother, Father, Child. So you want to see the cycle of life, the completeness that is life. And so 3s are almost always extremely positive in almost everything, including tarot and all sorts of things. So the 3 represents positive mind. So it represents a positive energetic exchange. So with the 3, I like to think of the 3 as devil and divine. So when it's on, it's really on, and when it's off, it's really off. So think of people who are super positive and really great and really fun and really energetic, and then all of a sudden they just go the other direction, okay? Positive, 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 and then they're like, they'll tend to go, because they just get to a point that they're like, okay, fine. And they'll kind of snap. So I always tease the 3 energy and say, when they're on, they're really, really on. When they're off, they're really, really off. It's like the devil made them do it. And they'll do the truth with an incredible amount of sarcasm and humor. So what happens with people who have 3s in their numbers is that they feel like they're on a roller coaster all the time. So it's great, it's horrible, it's great, it's horrible, it's great, it's horrible. They feel like this all the time. But then what will happen is that they're good, 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 and then they just have to say the truth. And when they say it, they'll say so positively. They're like, oh my gosh, you know, you're doing, that's the craziest thing, da da da. And then people like 15 minutes later will think, they just hit me, you know, I mean, they actually just hit you. And they did, you know, but they're doing it so positively, but it's like the devil made them do it. It's like, you know, sometimes 3 people are just sitting there going, I cannot listen to this another second. This is absolutely driving me crazy. So that's a 3 vibration. Then when we look at the 4 represents neutral mind. And so you want to think of, again, in the old days, buildings always had 4 walls. And so that represents stability and balance and peacefulness and safety. So 4 walls protected you. So 4s are always an incredibly neutralizing, stabilizing energy. Now in the yogic system, it's really interesting. They say if you're a baby soul and you don't have a lot of lifetimes worth of experience, you tend to be negative. As you evolve and you get more lifetimes worth of experience, you tend to be positive. And as you evolve even further, you eventually become neutral. So again, I use the 3 vibration as Princess Diana as an archetype.